Good afternoon, Genesee County. This is Matt Landers with the Genesee County Manager's Office. This is our newest Zoom session that we've been running here in Genesee County. Today's focus is going to be on the City of Batavia and the City of Batavia services. While I say City of Batavia, it is not just the City of Batavia, because a lot of people all around the county are utilizing some of these services and have family and friends here in the City of Batavia. So we definitely thought it was worthwhile to have some of the officials from the City of Batavia tell us some of the goings on around the city and how they are still providing great service, just like we are here in Genesee County. And some of that service delivery may be a little bit different, but nonetheless, they're still providing excellent service. So today we have our city manager, Marty Moore, along with our chief of police there for the City of Batavia, Stephen Napolitano, and we have Andrew Maguire from the BDC. He's the executive director over at the BDC. And we're going to start off with Marty first to let us know what's going on in the city. Go ahead, Marty.
Well, the City of Batavia continues to move forward and do business. I know it's been a challenge for a lot of you out there that either visit or live here in the city, but we do want to assure you that all of our main offices are staffed. Our Yardway station still remains open during the week from 8 o'clock till a.m. to 2 p.m. Our city clerk's office you're able to get a hold of them and call, you can email, and they do accept payments. You can't come inside, obviously, but we still have our drop box. And I do want to remind those who have never, obviously, they've always walked past the drop box because they've been able to come in. You can drop a payment in there. You can also, and thank you, Matt, for bringing that up on the screen. You can also pay your bills over the phone. You can get with them that way. You can mail it in. Our people, even though they're not always in the office every day of the week, we have them set up so that they can work remotely from home. We have staff split up so we meet our 50%, but we still have enough people here in the office to take care of the phone answering and then talking back and forth. For example, our financial office still has the ability to work from home and still process most of the work for payroll, for paying the bills. For those of you who are worried about trying to pay your taxes, you can. Those of you who are concerned with building permits, we do still process building permits. So please, by all means, call the Public Works office. Let them know that you have a project going on. They are scheduling some inspections. So we have that capability and ability. Our inspection staff is still, we always and continually have someone up. One thing I will tell all the public also is that we're ramping up a little bit on our road work. We know about the potholes on Richmond Avenue and several of the other streets. We are ramping up the road crew with, of course, we have a plan in place to be able to do that appropriately and safely. But we are doing that and still being able to work through our schedules so that we meet the governor's 50% pause criteria. So we're able to meet those services and do that. We are working, those of you who are garden enthusiasts and have been worried about whether the community garden will open. Right now, we're planning to try to make that happen. They're working on a plan to see how they can do that safely. In other words, don't have all 50 gardeners in there at once, but finding ways so that they can go in and enjoy a little bit of sunshine and fresh air, during this COVID-19. If anyone has seen the community garden, you would know that things are naturally spaced out a little bit anyway, so it makes it easier for them to set things up. But nonetheless, we're still going to they'll have a plan in place and let us know what it is. We will let the public know as soon as we know. I've had some questions about how we're doing financially with COVID-19 and are we still able to provide our services even though our revenues look like they're going to take a downturn? And the answer is yes. We are structuring and have structured our freezes, of vacancies, our savings on costs so that we're not impacting our core police, fire, public works, EMS, all of those, law enforcement, those types of programs and services. So yes, we will be continuing to have those services. We continue to take the phone calls that we need to take. There's no changes in those schedules. We're still under the COVID-19 pause schedule, but we are looking forward to working with the state and the governor's office on getting a plan put out there that will allow us to safely, and I suspect in a step-by-step manner, reopen things back to the public. But in the meantime, we're maintaining what we have. We do want to encourage everyone, as I know that our county health director says, wear your masks, wear your appropriate protective equipment. If you're shopping for food, or if you're exercising outside and you're closer than 6 feet to people, the parks are staying open. The facilities that encourage congregating, as you've seen in the orders, are still closed, and those stay the same. But for now, those parks are still open. We do ask, please, please allow us to allow the parks and some of these other things to stay open. Maintain your social distance. Do those kind of things that makes it more comfortable for mothers with small children and those who are, I don't want to call them up in age and seniors because I'm getting close to it myself. But those who would feel uncomfortable because they might be immune compromised, they need to be able to feel comfortable getting out and exercising as well. So please keep them in mind, as well as keeping yourselves in mind, and we will continue forward to work together and hopefully reopen soon and responsibly.
Great, thanks, Marty. I know that I had to recently pay a water bill myself over the city, and I'm one of those individuals that would walk over, being the close proximity of our building to your building. So it was nice to know that there's a drop box right out there that
Yep.
I could walk out there and slide the payment into the door, and you'd be able to accept it on the same date as I drop it off. So that was reassuring, and just one avenue of proof that the city is still up and running, just albeit a little different.
A little bit differently. City council meetings will continue to be remote, and as long as the pause continues. But anyone has any questions or concerns about any aspect of city business, they're welcome to contact my office. So
Great. All right. Not sure who wanted to go next between Steve and Andrew. Steve, you want to jump up next? You're the next on my screen. So.
Absolutely. So for full disclosure, I'm the fire chief, not the police chief, Matt.
Did I say police chief?
You did, Matt. That's okay.
I apologize.
I know Chief Highbush wishes he was as good looking as I am, but that's a whole nother subject matter.
yeah, I was wondering about that new recruit that Chief Highbush is wanting to put in the academy.
So, well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's important that I'm able to share some of the things that are going on here at City Fire. One thing I want to make sure that everyone understands is the conditions continue to evolve, and we continue to take precautionary actions and measures here at City Fire to keep our customers as well as our staffing safe during this novel coronavirus pandemic. That includes the constant screening of employees twice a day. And then the employees that come in for the night shift, they get screened twice an evening. We disinfect our equipment, our vehicles, as well as more periodic, depending on the nature of the calls that we go on. In addition, we're also helping other city departments by disinfecting their vehicles. We continue to respond without any disruption in service. That being, I was asked several times, are you guys not going on certain type of calls? Are you not? We're following the county's guidelines for emergency medical calls, but we're responding to pretty much all our normal calls for services on a regular basis. We haven't really had a disruption or a decrease in the amount of requests for services. We're able to do so by ensuring that our employees are screened, as I said earlier, with temperature checks, Our equipment and apparatus is disinfected, and we're following all the current and upcoming local, state, and federal guidelines and recommendations that are put out there. So that keeps us operational. The one thing that we do ask is that when you report an emergency and you call 911, we ask that the people that are calling are honest. We want to make sure that they understand that by being honest and letting us know that they may have some potential COVID symptoms or are symptomatic, that we're not going to not respond. We're not going to change our response pattern to you because you think you may have been exposed to the COVID virus or that you are or have some symptoms. We're still going to respond. The only thing that's going to change is our appearance. If that being our normal appearance, we take what's called BSI, body substance isolation precautions. So in addition to wearing gloves, we may be having a face mask on. But if it's a COVID type related call or a person that might be under investigation, you may see us with a full face shield. You may see us with a full gown on. We're still going to respond. We're just going to take the appropriate level of precaution. Number one, to protect you, the patient, and we may ask you to put a mask on as well as us wearing a mask, but we're going to protect our employees by having the proper PPE that's on. So it's important that the callers are brutally honest with the dispatchers at the 911 center. The dispatchers at the Sheriff's Department are an outstanding group of individuals that are providing us the first line reconnaissance. They're truly first responders, so that's important. Couple other things I want to mention is that if you go to the City of Batavia Fire Department's Facebook page, we've created a number of videos on the proper method of putting gloves on, and another one was on the proper hand washing techniques. A third one is what levels of PPE that we would have on there. And I believe we just uploaded it to the city's website. It's actually a virtual tour of the fire station, all the different offices, all the different rooms in the fire station and the apparatus. We want to be able to give people, that's our Facebook page. And you'll see as you go down, there's a number of videos that people can click on. We've had some very good response in regards to a couple of our bagpipers. We've had a number of positive responses on the videos on the proper hand washing techniques. Hey, Matt, while you're right there, let's talk about 211. We're going to make a quick segue. 211 is important. Any questions that you may have, feel free to call fire headquarters, but 211 is a great resource. All right, keep going down, Matt. There should be okay, there we go. This is a thing that Captain Fit, a couple of guys did with the Batavia Daily News. Further down, we're coming up to our videos. There we go. There's one of the first ones right there. And how we're responding. This shows the different levels of PPE that we're wearing. So we try not to look too intimidating on the calls. And as I said, as you continue to, there's the first level, phase 2 coming up, mask, gloves, and eye protection. There we go. Phase 3 will be with a gown and whatnot. So it's a great resource for people to take a look at. We're going to continue to develop public service announcements. It's a way to continue our community risk reduction programs. All right. Couple last things I want to talk about. Please keep in mind that there's still a state burn ban, and that is up until I believe May 14th. So that means there's no open burning in anywhere in New York State unless you have certain provisions for agricultural and whatnot. Following that, the city of Batavia, under the Batavia Municipal Code, has its own city ordinance on burning. There are a number of requirements. You are allowed to burn, but you have to have the requirements met. If not, and we respond, we're going to ask you to extinguish that fire, or we're going to extinguish it for you. I'll be honest, we call no joy in putting out a nice little recreational fire, but we want to help you do it in the proper manner. And you can call city headquarters. We have a guide that will help you to ensure that you're compliant. And then the last thing I want to say is a shout out to Coordinator Tim Yeager and his staffing for their continued assistance in securing hand sanitizer, PPE, along with the most latest guidance to myself, my staff, and all the other fire departments in Genesee County. We really appreciate the assistance and cooperation from Coordinator Yeager's office. It's a partnership that we have, first of all, with the employees of the City of Batavia Fire Department, with all the other fire departments in this county, and then lastly with the coordinator's office. Collectively, we continue to be able to respond efficiently and effectively, and it's a great partnership. So we appreciate that, and a shout out to Tim, Bill, Gary, Brian, Sean, and all the other coordinators and professionals, and most importantly, Jeanette, who is just she's a great asset. So that's it from the City of Batavia Fire Department. Great,
thanks a lot, Steve. Again, I apologize. As Steve is our city fire chief, I should know this, being a fellow Kiwanian with Steve, and I'm sure I'm going to pay for this on a fine at our next virtual Zoom Kiwanis meeting coming up.
Fine and lunch.
Fine and lunch. All right. My bad. Next, we're going to go to Andrew Maguire with the Batavia Development Corporation. Hopefully, I didn't say you were with the GCDC and screw that one up with introductions.
No, you're good. You got my title correct.
Andrew's the newest executive director over at the BDC, and he's going to talk a little more to the business side of things. And I know he's working real hard with the people of the GCDC and the folks of the chamber and the bid. And I was on a Zoom session a little earlier with Andrew, and these folks are working tirelessly to try to find ways to assist our local businesses when they restart and they reopen, and at the same time still trying to attract new businesses to our community. So Andrew, take it away.
Absolutely. Thanks, Matt. And thank you, Chief and Marty. So the BDC, Batavia Development Corporation, is the local development corporation here for the city. We are still operational. We haven't lost any services due to this COVID pandemic. We're holding meetings regularly. We're still here for local businesses. So, if anybody has any questions, concerns, always feel free to reach out to me, email me. But yeah, absolutely. As Matt alluded to, we have been working pretty tirelessly to try to be proactive in our combat against this and sort of our recovery phase. So some things that the BDC has done is we did create a COVID-19 webpage, which I know a lot of local development corporations or IDAs are doing the same with Genesee County Chamber. So on that page, we do have resources and links to various programs that are out there, anywhere from the SBA programs, unemployment information, CARES Act information, all the way down to links to the CDC, as well as, Genesee County Health Department and our local partners, GCDC and the Chamber. They have excellent resources and links as well on their web pages. So, I absolutely recommend local businesses to please visit those pages. If you have questions, concerns, these are great resources for access to capital, but for, both employers and employees. So a lot of times we have questions that arise that a business owner has never faced before. So hopefully you'll be able to find some stuff on this website or through our partner's website that can sort of steer you in the right direction and get you the resources that you need. And as I said earlier, BDC is still operational, still offering, competitive loans through our revolving loan fund program that we administer for the city. We still are seeking grant funding. We've been successful in obtaining grant funds recently, and on the major scale of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, as well as the Downtown Revitalization Initiative Business Improvement Fund, and then most recently a new award from a New York Main Street grant. And these really focus on rehabilitation of our downtown and our buildings. So unfortunately, most construction has halted for the short term. So these are projects that are making progress on the back end right now. We're really hopeful that construction can begin again. Obviously strategic implementation of it, safety is of the utmost concern. So we want to make sure that if we do go back to construction, it's done properly. And that also sort of transitions into some things that we are doing as an economic task force committee with partners like Genesee County Economic Development, the Chamber, Batavia Improvement District, BID. So we're all kind of putting our resources together and communicating regularly about things that are going on, things that we've seen, businesses that we've talked to, and how do we address these issues. So, and Matt alluded to it earlier as well, that we are creating some out of the usual programs and resources for this recovery plan. For example, one thing that we'll be hopefully getting out this afternoon is surveys to local businesses to try to help address and understand concerns that they have in reopening. Obviously we all want to get back to normal as soon as we can in a safe manner. And that's kind of where our survey would hit is, what are some concerns that you have? Do you have sanitization concerns? Do you have a need for masks, distancing, childcare for employees, things of that nature? So hopefully we can sort of create and tailor an approach to helping these local businesses using actual data and actual concerns that people do have. So in these times, we have to adapt. We have to be creative and we have to think outside of the box. This is a pretty unprecedented time, and it's going to be relatively difficult on a couple fronts to bounce back from. So we need to do all that we can to be there for our local businesses and to support them. Whether it is buying takeout, gift cards, buying online, whatever we can do to continue to support them. And then on our economic development side, continue to be a resource for them. Continue to let them know that we are here. We will help them answer questions. If we can't, we'll find the right people who can, and we'll put them in touch with the right resources to make the right fiscal decisions that they need to make in this time. So like I said, as we continue to move forward, we just adapt with where we are. We continue to sort of have a creative approach as to how to recover from this, and we will work diligently to implement those goals. So, our overarching goal of business attraction and longevity and economic growth is still there. Absolutely, Matt. We need to focus on that as much as anything else and attract business. So, these grant programs that we do have and these projects that are going off are going to hopefully rehabilitate our downtown buildings, be more attractive to new businesses coming in, and hopefully when we do get back to some normalcy, kickstart our economy as the best we can. So, and please, by all means, visit our website. Matt had it up there earlier. My contact information is there. Feel free to reach out to me for anything that you have, both employers and employees, and hopefully we can put you in touch with the right people in the right areas, and we can get through this together.
Yep. And I'd like to add something. I'm going to tell you that when Andrew says that they are working hard and putting in a lot of hours, they are working hard and putting in a lot of hours. It's you're working from the living room. They're still dealing with the clients. They're still pushing through the programs, and even more so with the restrictions of COVID-19 and how do we get around that? How do we help a business put together a plan is what they're part of what they're doing. And so anytime you have a chance, reach out to the city's development corporation here in Batavia, reach out to the GCEDC, because they are working extremely hard and working not just to get ready for when the state says we're going to open, but actually working on proactive ideas and recommendations to encourage the state to move the reopening along.
Great.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you all for your time today. I know you're all working busy schedules. We're working differently, but we're still working just as hard,
Indeed.
if not harder, and trying to be creative in how we're trying to get the work done with the social distancing guidelines and the service delivery methods being a little different in some cases. But I do appreciate you taking the time to go through this. That was very informative. I'm glad to hear that this is not impacting our service delivery significantly with the fire chief there. Steve, I appreciate the insight you provided. That was an excellent tip to individuals not to feel afraid to hide if they're calling and they have COVID-19 type symptoms. I'd heard that before, that would be a concern, that people would show up at a scene, and you guys are gonna show up no matter what. But you want to be able to be as prepared as possible, so people shouldn't be afraid of that. Andrew, everything I hear about from that local group that I've been able to sit in a couple times with all of our local economic development folks, it's heartening to hear all the work that you guys are doing, because it's going to take a big effort out of everyone to be able to assist these businesses and get back to where we were before. And Marty, keep up the great work in the city. I know from the county side, we're scrambling and doing everything we can. For us right now, we are identifying every bit of revenue that we can save, every bit of expense that we can cut, and everything from to right now we have roughly 20 to 25% of our workforce positions that are open that we've taken advantage of through furloughing or freezing hiring, to capital projects that we have deferred to. There's a litany of efforts that we've made at the county to try to stabilize our finances to the best of our ability while we wait and see what happens in the future with our revenues, with the state aid and the sales tax reductions that we're expecting. But we are all working hard to minimize the impact in that respect to the taxpayers, while still delivering the services that are mandated and required of us to deliver. So thank you again, everyone. I appreciate taking the time. I won't take any more of your time. Keep up the great work, and we'll be talking to you soon enough, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Take care.